Back to the Future?
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Honestly, I don't even know what that means. Back to the Future. It's it's the movie. It's a time mind game. That's what it is, right? So, I don't know, popped into my head when I'm thinking about our old friend Steve Laffey. Yeah, Steve Laffey. He is, I don't know that he's back. He's certainly visiting. And he spent some time with the Republicans this weekend, probably tuning them up, so to speak, because they certainly need that, no doubt. But the former Cranston mayor and senatorial candidate who has left the state for a handful of years now is publicly toying with the idea of A, moving back, which we would welcome him with open arms, obviously. He's a lifer, I'm not. I'm just visiting for 20 years. And maybe getting involved in running the state or running to run the state. I'm going to forego all the other stuff that's going on today. This conversation will probably run a couple of times because sometimes we know when we got a good vacation day show, you know, so this probably will be one. So we'll save on the bishop in real time. We'll get to it this week. And program note, by the way, if you're seeing this for the first time, we have the new Ed Commissioner coming in tomorrow night, so you should be making a note on that. All right, so here's a headline that caught my eye in one of the local online publications. The former Cranston mayor back to discuss politics with the Republican Party. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
I was elated to see Susie Yankee for the first time since 2001 when I first showed up.
The new chair of the Republican Party.
I walked into a meeting in 2001, and there was a food fight going on in front of me. I was a guy in a suit and tie who had just left Morgan Keegan. Mayor Aberdeen came over and told me as this thing was going on, it was incredibly dumb. The kooky people yelling about stuff. And he said, Mr. Laffey, this doesn't happen all the time. But it did. Happened all the time, forever, right? When I was the mayor, it always happened. And so when Susie Yankee was elected chairman of the party, who was someone who was fought with the public sector unions and so forth, and who I knew of, but I didn't know, I received a couple phone calls and they wanted me to come in. And I said, well, listen, I'm going to my Bowdoin College reunion. I'm coming in on June 2nd to eat at Tommy's Pizza and go to Cafe Bon Ami and go to Spooner's Restaurant if they're open. And I just soon go to a function, and I'd be happy to help the Republicans if you're getting your act together. And so I did. So that's what we did last night, and we had a decent crowd. And the thought process was to bring back some of the conservative people who have been very much disaffiliated, in a sense, not legally, but don't help out at all, and so forth. And at least preach the message of what needs to be done to try to bring the party back.
Well,
so
first of all,
that was good.
I formally welcome you back to the show, and good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. You look great.
Same. I don't even know where to begin. By the way, Susie Yankee is one of those East Greenwich Republicans who got tossed out on their ears with a Democratic swoon in there and has become the chairperson of the Republican Party. She has conservative instincts. Mm-hmm. Her leadership style and skills will TBD, to be determined. We'll see what happens there. Where do you want to start this conversation? Before we get into the politics, let's talk about you. You've been out in Colorado for how many years now?
9 years.
9 years. And when I say a handful of years, 9. Time flies when you're doing whatever you're doing. You've been very public about Sarah's challenge. She's still with us, thank God. Yeah. One of 4 Laffey children, who's
6 Laffey. 6
Laffey children. I always get that wrong because the 6. We don't want to discount anything.
No, they say they're going to watch this.
Yes, exactly. But she's good. She's fighting.
She's fighting. She has stage 4 neuroblastoma, and due to the great people around the country praying for her all over the country. Here in Rhode Island, how many people did I see last night who knew about my daughter Sarah?
Right.
Sarah was a very vocal part of a campaign. She's on the front page of the Boston Globe in the U.S. Senate race of 06 as outdistancing her outgoing father or something, right? And she's doing Heelys and high-fiving people. Sarah was the one that when I went into a campaign, any room, Italian restaurant, I give her some stuff, go to that side of the room, I meet you in the middle in about 15 minutes. And she'd go vote for my daddy and walk around. And she's had 4 years and 6 days of a girl who was about to go to college at 19 and a black belt in karate, and now faced with,
And you're
real
open
problems.
about it, and she's open about it.
Yeah.
And it's very much part of the family's
Yeah,
fill in the blank.
And I'm
What is
blessed
it?
that people
part
pray
of the
so hard.
family's.
Yeah, we're closer because of it.
Yeah.
God had a different plan for me, and quite frankly, thank God I wasn't a U.S. senator and had to. I'm blessed. I stopped and dealt with the whole thing. I homeschooled the other 3 children when this happened, and so I didn't want to. I like teaching at URI, but God just throws you curveballs. So listen, we just do the best we can, and my wonderful wife has spent 200 plus nights, in the first year and a half in a hospital room and overnight and radiation treatments and living in Philadelphia for experimental treatments. But she's still with us. She's fighting, and I'm very blessed to have such great people around me.
So you're scratching an itch. What are you doing?
I did this last night, and I told people that this could be the beginning of the turnaround of the Republican Party, which should have been closed at some point. And I told them what I thought needed to happen, and maybe they'll do it. And I've got to make some decisions. I'm in my 50s now, and where I'm going to die. And I was just thinking, would I really die in Colorado and have my body taken back to Sheridan Funeral Home near the corner we stood on for 3 hours? You can see it from there, right? And have Paul Sheridan take care of my body and find a place to bury me. And I thought, it might be better to die in Rhode Island. I mean, seriously, you start thinking about these things. I'm actually in very good health. It's not like, but where should my kids, be, and where should my wife be, who loves Rhode Island? And I still come out of movie theaters and think I'm into park cinema.
You left because
They weren't going to do any of this, and I couldn't change Rhode Island. And I like to make money, and I went to a place where I could buy real estate and make a lot of money. I mean, I wish people could be more truthful, but I had children to raise. If I can't be the guy who changes this place to make it a place that's competitive with the other places where people are safe, where people get great education, if people don't want to do it, then I decided that I would go to Colorado. And guess what happened in Colorado? Lessons that you learn, right? I came back after 20 years before, and I thought what I was doing was fairly normal as a businessman. People thought it was destroying things, right, who hated me. But I was doing things that were normal to save a city, getting the bond rating up 8 notches and firing crossing guards and all that kind of stuff. And I had to say the crossing guards at least once. So people still call their friend, like from Colorado, calls them around.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the guy with the crossing guards.
Steve is referring to a radio show where I was live on location while the crossing guard issue was hot as heck, and believe it or not, right?
Yeah.
And we broadcast live from that corner
For 3 hours.
For 3 hours.
You and I stayed. It was
You
the
know?
greatest show. Really,
Yeah,
one of the
it was.
greatest shows.
We had a terrific. You were making a point, and I agreed with the point. Yeah.
And what do you learn when you're in Colorado about things about huge economic growth? Rhode Island is a place that's like a time bomb, but a good time bomb. If it ever was turned the corner, say I was the governor and we turned the corner, I would have my Harvard Business School buddies with a hedge fund buy every piece of real estate they could find. Prices are kept low because the carrying cost is too high. The carrying cost is what's really important in many of these things with real estate. My carrying cost, when I eventually sell both properties, it'll be like $7+ million. The carrying cost has been $3,800 a year. Can I look into the camera and tell
You
people
do
that?
you want.
Okay, so if you're living here in Rhode Island and you have a $250,000 home, you've got $3,000 versus the people in Colorado every year that you're paying for your carrying cost. And if you're making $60,000 with a family of 4, and after taxes you have like $40,000, it's nearly 10% of your money that someone is taking. And the roads are the worst in America. If Rhode Island was just, there should be some kind of motto. I told one guy last night, could you think it up for me? We're going to be 25th. We're never going to be number 1. But 25th in Rhode Island, if Rhode Island's 24th and Massachusetts is 25th, we're number 1. The whole world would change for everybody. There are people who live to the south of me who, when I moved here, I sold my house for $215. It's worth $250 in Rhode Island today. That house that was $200 to the south of me is $410. You've got $30,000 of equity in your home from that. If you live there, you got $200,000 in Fort Collins, Colorado. Guess what the pension plan looks like in Fort Collins, Colorado? $48 million of assets, $48 million of liabilities. Providence like that? Cranston? Warwick. Loveland, the city south of me, outlawed public sector unions 25 years ago. They don't have any. So when you go, ask me what I learned, when you go and move to Colorado, go to the public school and say, I'm thinking of sending my child here, which I did. It's like you're at McDonald's. How can I help you? We got a great Algebra 2 teacher. Blah, 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 blah. Does that happen at Cranston East if I walked in there? No. Because there's 50 charter schools within like 6 miles. I'm joking. I mean, there's 50 charter schools, I think, in Fort Collins. How many are in Rhode Island? And so people keep trying to say, Mayor Olazer, is he now saying, literally with a straight face, at least I've drawn attention to the pension program? I read that. I'm like, how do you say that and not resign? So things could be radically different. You and I have discussed this. The question is, are people willing, ever, and they were in Cranston, it's the only way I get elected, are they willing for me to throw cod liver oil down everybody's throat?
Okay, so that's the question. I mean, if on both the radio and the television here for the last full year, I've been asking whether we are at the bottom of our mental malaise. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us.
Like most things I do, people don't love it all, but I thought it was a fair compromise.
So there's go to Raimondo. That's an overused piece of tape that we keep putting in there because it really reflects her mindset when it comes to what was the signature of the Evergreen contracts as an example of an issue where most people in the state just kind of like this, yeah, all right, whatever. The 38 studios,
Yeah.
PawSox, blah, blah, blah. And I think you and I probably would disagree on the PawSox mechanics, but the disingenuous way in which that whole thing was laid out was just brutal. There was no candor, there was no honesty, there was none of that. But I've begun to feel the RICAS numbers, the testing scores. We'll talk to the commissioner about this tomorrow. I don't feel the bottom up, mad as hell, not going to take it anymore, insurgency that is necessary for the state to find its actual logistical bottom. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
So you go to Colorado, you get all this blah, 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 you come back here because you think you want to die here, and I get that. I mean, I get that clearly. It was a really cool way of saying it. Do you have a pulse or a reading? Have you been here long enough to get a pulse or reading to know whether what you couldn't deliver 9 years ago is deliverable now? Talk to me about that.
I don't know. And
Because maturity brings a little bit of common sense, about an actualization about what you can and cannot do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I agree with that. And I am a different person through a lot of different things, in a sense. I'm still the same. I still have a sense of humor. This is all I talk about. This is what I do. I either think about Rhode Island and Cranston, or I think about communist China and the federal budget deficit. I don't really do much else, in a sense. These are my issues, right? So I don't know. But I began to think, especially about some of these reading scores that I just read in the Boston Globe talking about maybe a takeover and so forth. I began to think of this Providence school system, that maybe you have to force it sometimes. Maybe if I had a couple of years to go visit these people and force Providence to do bankruptcy, in a sense, and force people to understand we need a radical departure. We're not going to talk about fixing the public schools. We're not going to fix them. We're going to end them. We're going to get people out of them. We're going to go visit with the Black and Hispanic community. We're going to go to the churches where I've been to. I'm going to bring my Bible. I'm going to preach to them. And I'm going to talk to them as a kid who got out.
By the way, the Black and Hispanic community is completely misunderstood by the mainstream media and mainstream politicians. Dan McKee, Lieutenant Governor, who could be an opponent if you ended up deciding this, does have a couple of things right about charter schools, that the minority populations in this state crave that and are completely misunderstood. They want a fairer shot as anybody.
Of course they do.
They don't want to sit in an asbestos-laden building with mediocre environment from physicality to curriculum.
Yeah.
I mean, this notion that the minority community is satisfied with that is ridiculous.
And nobody has done more. I have 6 children. I've educated them in private schools, Catholic school, public school, homeschool, Montessori school. I taught at the top level at University of Rhode Island. Nobody's lived it like me. who would run for office. Some people probably have who would run for office. And I became radicalized after I left office. I never sent my kids back to the public schools after I knew that they weren't learning any math. But I can talk to those people like
When you say
other
you're
people
going to
can't.
end the public schools, you sound like a wacko.
No, not to the people who are listening. We just talked about. Not to the people. It could be someone in East Greenwich thinks I'm a wacko, but they all know what elections are decided upon.
It's interesting you say East Greenwich because that population, the Barrington, East Greenwich, Kingstown's, Cumberland, Lincoln population continues to play the JV game. They get scores and say, well, we lead the league here in Rhode Island, and I'm screaming bloody murder, again, something to talk to the Ed Commissioner about tomorrow, that we ought to be talking about the comparable community in Massachusetts to Barrington, the comparable community to East Greenwich. And then all of a sudden, your big fat ego isn't that big fat anymore.
You got it.
Right?
I did that at the very beginning of being Cranston mayor. You remember I got a nationwide study done in the police and fire department. All holy heck broke loose as firemen said, you can't compare us to Scranton, Pennsylvania. Why not?
But end public schools versus fix public schools, I don't think that's a nuance.
No, it's a radical idea. Now, would we ever end them? I don't know. But people have to know. And there's one thing about me. If I say we're going to go this way, we're going this way. We're not just changing our mind halfway through. We're going to get more charter schools. We're going to get people's checks to go to schools. My kids are homeschooled online at Veritas Press for $3,000 a kid. Nearly 1/5 of a Providence school. Way better education. And parents know this. People have gifted children. We always talk about kids who are not gifted. People have gifted children who are totally held back in public schools and are made fun of. They need to go somewhere where they can be embraced for learning. This is not, everybody cares about their children, at least last I looked. And the children of Rhode Island in the school systems are having a miserable time. I just read we're 4% in one school. I just read it before I came here. 4% can read at a grade level. 4%? Not everybody gets fired? No one goes in and grabs those kids and says, we're going over here. Maybe I got to get private sector people to come up, but if we could force people to realize, in Colorado, Democrats and Republicans agree on charter schools. There's no disagreement. The whack job left-wing guy out of Boulder is for charter schools. That could happen in Rhode Island, especially if people demand it. So maybe we have to create an atmosphere of urgency, not wait for the urgency to let me come back and I'm just talking out loud.
The urgency,
to everybody, I guess.
But the urgency doesn't exist.
Yes, but maybe we have
I'm telling you, the beat down is real.
Yes.
The economy's okay. You know, the economy's okay, and we're drafting, and we'll be first in and last out again.
If I hear that one more time, I'm going to...
But it's true. Len
know.
Ladero was here Friday explaining that to us, Rhode Island economist,
he
who
does.
no one will listen to at the State House.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, the urgency, there's no urgency. So can you create a reason to be urgent about it? Sure, but that's what you would have to do.
But there also has to be this hope. You can create urgency, but if no one hopes, if no one says it could happen, you don't get people to come on board.
Well, it's a state motto. When we come back, how serious is it? The old days.
Before LASIK
I might
surgery.
tell you something. You do look younger there. I hate to break it to you.
I know.
And so would I if I was in that video. But you always had those colors too.
Blue and safety yellow.
Those are your colors. Well, look, you know, first of all, if you came back and if you were back, you'd be a great voice in the community because you know,
I couldn't help
I
myself.
love you.
Oh, thank you.
You can't
Yeah.
shut up.
I know.
So,
I love you too.
So I mean,
couldn't help it.
You can't. So I mean, at least to be a
Could
voice.
fill in and
you know?
whatever. I might never run for it. I might just hang out at Dunkin' Donuts.
But you know, there is. You know, it's really a great question as to whether you know. I know you wouldn't do any polling data to read it. It would all be your gut. You wouldn't poll this. Mm-hmm. But there really is a difference that's happened over the course of time here, and I really do feel like there is there's a percolating sense of disruption in the, for lack of a better term, western border towns who just all decided to become a sanctuary town for gun rights, right? a lot of bark, no bite, but it was a part of their mad as hell, not taking it anymore. We don't want the State House telling us what to do. And if they harness that energy, I think there's a chance that all of a sudden that can bubble all through the state. I think their argument on the particular issue was weak, but I understand what they were saying. That's a percolating energy that exists in the state. And I don't think it's Trumpian necessarily. It's just, we've had it type of thing.
Too many of the friends have left. In other words, you meet people who friends have left.
And too many kids aren't staying.
Exactly.
They're going to school and they're not staying, or they're not coming home to work.
Right. There's always a problem. It's still a problem.
So, how, and I don't do this in any kind of fanship way. I've known Steve for so long, and so many of you are so familiar with him, that this is not baiting him. I mean, if you come back and you decide to do this, I think it will change the landscape. You're a change agent by nature. It's disruption by nature, not Trumpian disruption, which I have become, which I disdain. But I'm talking about idea articulation on steroids. It's always been what you do. Are you just playing around? Are you going to think of moving back because you really want to come home? And if you came home, I don't think you couldn't. See, they're both connected, right?
I know, it's unfortunate.
If you're coming home, you're going. I don't really have to ask. I know that.
Yeah.
Right? I'm right.
I'm very serious about it. You've asked me before, and I'd be like, no. I mean, not no.
But that had to do with coming home.
Yes. But you're right.
If you come home, you're not doing it.
It'd be hard for me to come home.
If word is that you're selling your property in Colorado, you're a candidate for 2022 and governor.
If I come back to Rhode Island, it would be hard to hang out and maybe.
Yeah.
I don't hang. I mean, it would be hard to do that in Rhode Island because I'd be incensed to go. People ask me to come to meetings. I'd be speaking. I spoke nearly every
Well, we only
night.
have a minute. So what is the calculus? What is the gut thing? Is there a hump to get over, or is this just
there's some
having it
time.
wash
I've
over
got to
you?
sell my property, and I'm in the throes of actually aggressively marketing.
Logistics.
Finally. And Sarah is a concern about
Right.
where she can get the best care, and she's going to be with us. I think that's possible in Rhode Island, but that would have to be explored even more. My younger children, Samuel is at University of Wyoming Business and Law School. He graduates next year. He's not leaving Wyoming. I do have Peter in California, so kids grow up and they go do things. It's great. But I have Sarah, and I have 3 younger ones. I used to call them little, but they're not little.
So it's all that. It's
So,
all that.
but I think over the next 6 to 8 months it could be resolved.
Property marketable?
Yeah, Fort Collins is very marketable.
Keep us updated.
God bless. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Laffey. Be right back. Maybe. Yeah. Why not? Because right now, I think, at minimum, we need a shot of adrenaline like it's going out of style. Our cortisol needs to start operating in recognizing that we've got issues here. And so Laffey would provide that. There's no doubt in my mind about it. So we'll see. And we continue to pray for Sarah and his family because that's the most important thing. The new Ed Commissioner tomorrow night. Important conversation. See you on the radio 3 on WPRO. Good night.